Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Down to Business. Quite exciting today with this man needs no introduction in Paul the Chief Harragon.
Hi guys.
Got to know Paul quite a bit since getting involved with the Mark Hughes Foundation last year, and when we did Mount Kilimanjaro. But I get the pleasure, quite often to sit and have a coffee and just be mesmerised by Paul's stories and had him in our business and that sort of stuff. So I thought, who better to come along and talk a bit about some of his experience, which some of it might catch you by surprise in regards to where he's come from and what he's been through, etc., to get to where he is, and very successful dealing with corporates and partnerships and now consulting and that to a lot of business. So yes, another sports person, but very much some of the messages that we want to apply within good, successful, small and medium-sized enterprises. So welcome, Paul.
Great to be here. Good to see you, mate.
Yeah. Long time no see. Not really. But, mate, not that you need an introduction or any background. I mean, you're one of Newcastle's favourites, obviously, and a big personality, not just back in the day, but still. But, I think it'd be good. A lot of people don't probably understand where you came from pre-nights or rugby league and that sort of stuff. So, mate, I might leave you to tell people a bit about...
Well, at the start, yeah. Well, I was born in Kurri, great place, Kurri. They named it twice. It was so good. Moved from there to Lake Macquarie at Belmont, and had a great upbringing. In the 70s growing up, really idyllic time there, living between the lake and the ocean. I loved it. I surfed, I played rugby league. I'd always had success in rugby league as a junior, and I was about 17 years of age when I left school. I kind of made my mind up that I had an apprenticeship at the BHP as a fitter and turner. And that took me a while because I left school at year 10, couldn't get a job, so I went to Belmont Tech, done a pre-apprenticeship in fitter and turning, got a start at the BHP, and then that turned into a start at the coal loader, which was a wonderful gig for fitter and turners as an apprentice. I come out of my time and they said, listen, Chief, you're a good bloke in that, but when it comes to heavy industry, you're not cut out. I'll smell you later. So I got... They said, but we'll get your job back at the BHP, and I lasted about a month or two because it was like a huge big city there, and by that time my mind was well and truly turned towards rugby league. So I think it was about 17. I had a really watershed moment where I was kind of driving around in my car on a Saturday night, and I was thinking, I've got too much going for me really, except for rugby league. And I remember that particular afternoon stroke night where I kind of scoped out of my mind what I wanted to do, and I had no right to be thinking the things that I did, but it just all sort of panned out. I was visualising it all. I ended up making even a little affirmation that I used all the way through, and of course, the goal was I wanted to play for Australia, and the affirmation that I kind of made, I used all the way from that point until I got there. And however hard I thought that was going to be, it was 3 times more, and I kind of really believe now that when you decide to do something pretty significant, you at least want to give up, at least twice. I mean, a flat coal, this is going nowhere, because the skinny sort of immature kid that I was then, there's no way I could do that goal. But through the process of changing myself and all the tough times, it purged everything that was wrong in me and in my sort of traits and my personality, squeezed them all out. And it took, I should have got there at the age of 21, so it should have took me about 4 years or whatever, but through injuries and circumstances, it got extended till I was 23, and I finally did it, and it was so hard. But that's where it really forged a lot of things in me, and it was, looking back, it had to happen. I had to happen. So yeah, basically from that point onwards, and mind you, I was still working. Most guys still worked in those days a career and the night. So even when I was still at the coal loader, I'd get up. I lived at Belmont. I'd get up really early, get to work by about 6:30. And then I'd work all day, and then I'd go to training at night. I'd wait at IC back in those days, Marathon Stadium, or McDonald Jones as it is now, and I'd wait from 3:30 till about 5 till we started training, and I'd do some weights. But basically I'd train, get home about 7:30, eat dinner, go to bed, fall asleep, and go back to work. On the weekends I'm playing first grade. You know, it was a really heavy workload. But again, all that stuff, you know, forged good habits. And I remember my old man, he wouldn't let me have a day off. I mean, ever. I remember one time I was going, Dad, I'm no good, and I'm physically sick. He goes, mate, you'll be right. He said, just get there, and then once you get there, if you're crooked, then ring. And of course, once you're there, it's too far to get back. So all that stuff was good grounding.
So I think kind of the key things I take out of, not just now, but some of our prior conversations and how, you know, it can help the business owners. You're big on goal setting, you know, I know that. And as you said, the affirmations and I think one of the comments you made with me previously was, you know, once you have something, you got to work your ass off. I think some people just think it comes to you, but you've just talked about some of the hard work. But I know.
Oh, look, you look. If you're a business owner, you know, it's so competitive. You think, how many other guys are in my field, and what are they doing now? Are they working harder than me? Are they eating, sleeping the goal? You know, you're basically pitching yourself against someone who's doing the same thing. Who's the best in the game? What are they doing? And that's what I had to do, is that I had to go, okay, who's the best when I became a front row, because I started winging a centre and worked up. But when I end up getting through to the front row, I started going, no, who's the best? What are they doing? Well, I'll tell you what, I'm eating and sleeping my goal. I'm churning it over in my head all the time, to the point where it's driving me crazy. I can't stop until I get my goal. I'm training at night time now. I'm walking in the rain thinking about my goal. You know, who's the best at the moment? Well, right now, I'm hungrier than them, so I'm better than them. So you got to live in that world if you want to compete and be the best, and because it's competitive.
Yeah. And I think that's the key thing. It is, you know, shit happens basically, and no one has a great day every day. And I think, you know, having someone to hold you accountable, but more so actually making time in your day, in your week, whatever it may be, to dedicate yourself to what you're trying to achieve is pretty important.
And it can't be dry. You know, it can't be dried numbers. You know, here's a goal. We want to achieve this budget. You know, we want to. The numbers and the stats after a while, or living by, oh wow, we made it this month. Oh, that's great. And all we did in that month, I'm really down. That doesn't work for me in the longevity. It's got to be more emotional based, and the reason why I'm doing the things that I do. 101 is what's my reason? And when things do go tough, well, I go to the reason. And when things go really good, well, I don't get too carried away. I just go, this is why I'm doing it, and I love it, and it gets me through. It gets me through to the next stage.
Yeah, great. So I guess you know, an extension of that is you obviously led a great team to, you know, a premiership, and then you played in other teams at other levels, etc., etc. And I guess then taking a total different view, you've been involved in corporate world in teams and that sort of stuff too. Talk to me about what teamwork means to you, and what some people can learn about teamwork that's often misunderstood.
Well, I mean, if I try to think between, you know, different teams that I've been involved with, and the ones that had success and maybe the ones that didn't, you know, I am intrigued by, you know, you look at the NASA guys, and the level of detail and accountability and all those things they have. Elite medical people, where obviously lives are at stake. So when they're doing through their operation stuff, the procedures that they go through, incredible. Army is probably the one that really intrigues me the most, that where every action that I do, you know, you normally think my action, cause and effect, you know, affects me. But in their mentality, everything I do, how does it affect the team? How does it affect the crew? Because my actions, you know, their lives are gone, you know. You know what I mean? It just affects them so much. So good teams are really tight. Good teams have that mentality. And I always go back to the start of the nights where we worked it out. Well, we just want to be the player that everyone else wants to play with. And we worked out what those traits are. And basically, that works because our coaches and everyone involved got in on it and drove it, and we were praising the people that did the things that no one else wanted to do, the most humble, the one that you just wanted to be around. When things go wrong, they lift. And we learned a lot about leadership during that scenario, but I like that. So when teams are working for each other, you end up reaching new goals, you're overwhelmed by someone else who's got your back, and you become really tight. So again, all the elite guys that are in aerodynamics, with even in nautical stuff, all that precision stuff comes back to understanding that I am the team and the team is me. There is no difference between me and the team, because everything I do has a cause and effect on the team. I understand it, and I will not get to let that team down, and that's that code.
So it's a lot about values too that you create there with that concept. But I mean, that and you've got that every day. How does someone keep, in your opinion, that team motivated and engaged every day to live that? And like one thing, yes, we've got a relationship, we want to do it for each other, but there are days where that makes it harder.
Yeah. Well, again, I still reckon that you do things for others that you wouldn't do for yourself, or you'll go and do something that I can't be. If it's just me, I wouldn't be bothered. So I still reckon having that accountability or doing it, I'm doing it for you as a favour is a good driver. But you look at a company and you go, well, what are we doing? And obviously some companies are lucky enough where they really have a tangible effect on people's lives or lifting people up, and it's great. But in a lot of businesses, it's not. It's a lot drier, or you got to find a way where you are creating greater good or a service to someone beyond data and numbers and dollars and cents, because you don't lay your life down for a dollar. You don't go to the end of the world. But you will to help someone. You will to make the place a bit better. And
what's it around purpose?
Yeah, it's got. I mean, at the end of the day, as I said, I'm not going to get out of bed or push myself to new limits or do whatever it's got to do. Just for it's got to involve someone else. And I think all good goals, and to get out of your own way, because we are really hardwired in how we view the world. So if you want to change yourself or help someone else, the purpose has got to be nearly more than yourself. It's got to involve others, and it's got to involve the improvement of others. So I draw on that stuff. So every day, normal business, you rock in. I got issues at home. There's things not going great. I'm not feeling good, or I'm out of balance. What keeps me going at work? Well, there's a responsibility personally to make sure that you got yourself set up. So if you're out of whack, you're out of balance, it does make it hard to get motivated at work. So take care of that one. But the environment that you create in work, if you want to live in a work environment where it's really competitive and you got guys flashing what they're doing in front of you and thinking that's going to motivate you, it won't work. It's more the other way of being that person everyone else wants to work with, where you're coming up going, mate, I see you didn't go so well last week on your budgets. Look, I done great. This is what I did, and I can help you. That stuff keeps you going. So it really, all those standard values or traits that we have or emotions, there's not too much more than that. It's just finding the right ones and what drives you and hanging in there. And
actually, I think one of the things that I guess we've learned from you in some of our recent sessions, I guess, is making sure that's brought to the forefront and speaking about it. And I mean, not just men, women as well. But I think that's especially a work environment. That's probably too touchy-feely, if you like. But it's a key thing. I think teamwork, as much as they get associated a lot more with sporting teams, I guess, it's in a work environment, most people spend that much time there. We need to be speaking about this stuff and galvanising that team. You
do, yeah. And understanding each other is a big one. That I'll say, with all I get understanding, is that when you're working beside someone and you're just not quite understanding where they're coming from, or they might be a bit abrasive, or they're just, mate, they're a bit, I don't quite get it. I'm telling you, you dig a little deeper, you'll unearth why. And we always sort of use that example where a typical scenario of understanding someone was where, guys on a train, there's a dad with 3 kids, and everyone else has just finished work. These kids are running amok up and down the train. They're going bananas, and this bloke's had a big day at work, and he says to the dad across the carriage, "Mate, what are you doing? Pull your kids in, like, this is ridiculous." And the dad goes, "Oh man, I'm so sorry mate." He's just staring into space. Then he goes, "Oh mate, we've been to the hospital all day. I'm sorry. My wife just passed away. And then obviously the guy said it. I understand. I'm sorry, mate. I'm sorry. Can I help out? And that scenario happens at work every day, where someone's coming in and they're a bit fiery, or they're just vague, and you go, "What's their problem?" But I swear to you, if you dig a little deeper, there'll be something behind it, or something in their upbringing, or why they do the things that they do. And once you understand it, you find it's like you with your own kids. You fully understand where they're coming from. And that's why you're so lenient, because I dig it. So I think that's...
Yeah, I heard a great concept from a couple of colleagues of ours where they talk about nice first care. And I think that probably captures what you're saying. We're all nice.
Yep.
It's good to be nice, brought up to be nice, but it's easy to be nice. And if you care, it might be asking that harder question or digging that deep, and it might feel a bit awkward and that sort of stuff. But I totally get where you're coming from. So I think...
they reckon it's the third question in. It's like, "Hey, mate, how you going?" "Yeah, good. Second question, how did that thing go, that meeting that you were doing at last week?" Yeah, it's okay, not so bad. And then the third question in, "How you feeling, all right?" "No, actually, no, I'm terrible. I'm really struggling with that." And the third question in gets it, So, yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. Good. I guess then taking a step on, there wouldn't be too many people that know you or watched you or whatever, wouldn't say you're a leader. And but I know you probably weren't always the most extroverted. How do you think of leadership is within a team, but also for some of the business owners that might be watching, especially when that's not their natural position, or they think it's not their natural position?
Yeah, okay. Leadership, I find a bit of a mystery. The latest on leadership is that you're supposed to be a mentor, and you're judged by how many other mentors that you create. Where before it was very much, I'm the boss, and you guys, I'm telling you what to do, and I just monitor. You really got to be, when you're a good leader, is that you give someone the task, and you're not judging them, and just say, "That's what you got to do," but you come to me all the time. When you're struggling, I'll help you. I'm not judging you. That seems to be the latest way, and I think it's got a lot of positives. But if you don't think you're a natural leader, and what I mean by that is that some people are really good at normal times, everything's going great, they're the organisers. Beats, let's mate, we'll go out for lunch, we've got this. They naturally get up and talk, and being a connector, a key figure is just natural to them. But I find that leadership comes out under different circumstances. So I think the giant within all of us is there, that leader that rises up, but at different times. So, when you go to war conditions, they always say that Winston Churchill was a wonderful leader under war conditions, but under normal conditions not. So you'll find that within the business and within yourself, a bit of pressure might come in, and where you don't normally talk, and it really starts to get on the line, you'll find that you'll rise, and you will just by nature go, "Mate, I'm not, we're getting ripped here. I mean, this is unfair." And you come out, and all of a sudden you're a great leader, and you're doing it. It's there. It just needs the right circumstance to come out. So, yep. God bless those people, all the organisers, because it's really life's really pretty raw without them. So let all that go. Let everyone do what they're naturally strong at. But just know that when the time's right, you'll stand up and you'll lead, just the right circumstances is required. You also got to be the most diligent, and have the most powerful reason. Nothing can stop you from being the most dedicated and doing all the things that you want other people to show you, as say an employee, you got to be there early, and you got to be pumped, and
Yep.
and you got to be that person everyone else wants to work with. Where you've got a good sense of humour, and people love being around you. You're a bit magnetic, mate. You can build all those traits.
Yeah, good. No, I like the fact that last comment, you can build those traits. I think a lot of people think it's just something you're born with, but
Mate, leadership for me was like, mate, I was really shy. Really, really shy. So the thought of having to talk in front of someone was about as much fun as going to the dentist. That wasn't my go, but you build into it. And as I said, you through that process of even doing it tough, you get all that stuff squeezed out of you. And at the end, you're a different person. And we're here to keep growing and evolve it. And the tough times, unfortunately, are the times where you improve the most. It's just the data's there on that one, So getting yourself out there and doing the things that are difficult to you is a part of that process. And everyone's a leader. It's a different circumstance that brings it out. What that circumstance is, you got to find out.
Powerful message, mate. One of the things, and I know you've spoken with us about this, and something I hadn't always considered, but mindset. And you just referred to, if you're the owner, you're the leader, you're trying to achieve something in business, you've got to turn up right. What's some of the stuff that like meditation, which I know for most blokes it's probably a bit too touchy-feely, yoga-y type thing, but I know it's got a powerful message and quite powerful ramifications that come off it. Talk to me a bit about mindset and getting yourself right and making sure you're in the best place to lead a team or a business.
Well, mate, first of all, balance. I used to find, if you sleep too much or you sleep too little, you have problems. If you're working too long or you're not working long enough, you have problems. If you get yourself too much into one part of the business and you're concentrating there, another part goes. It's really having the ability to have that even keel and everything you do to provide yourself as an individual to have the right mindset to even give yourself a chance to go to work and do some good stuff. So first one, I reckon that's pretty important. Some of the other scenarios is that we all know today that things like anxiety and even the depression and just being overwhelmed is really easy. And the data's sort of put it down to we're always on this. We become very restless. It's a constant scenario of going from technology to here. We don't walk as much and we don't do all the things that we used to do as kids. So you really got to get on top and understand that the world is a little bit different, and if I don't watch myself and keep that balance, all of a sudden I'm feeling anxious about everything. It was one thing that was making me anxious. That thing is now gone, but still, why am I still anxious? And it's because you've nearly grooved it into your brain where that's how I act now, and you got to watch it. So you can go from like one coffee to like I'm having 6 coffees a day, and all that type of stuff. So look, I remember when I was playing footy, right, I didn't eat meat, and it was like
we're surprised at that.
It was the weirdest thing. I'd go to a barbecue, and I'm like 23 or 24, and for some reason I just said, I just don't want to eat meat. Well, mate, it's like, what do you mean you don't eat meat? Are you serious? So I used to hide it. Every barbecue I go to, I'd go, oh, that's all right. I used to eat just an onion sandwich or whatever. But things have changed a little bit. And also, I was meditating, and I wouldn't tell a soul, not even my best mate, because back in the 90s, you're pretty weird if you meditated. But thank heavens that after all those years, I think it's really changed. I think most people meditate, and a lot of yoga, like hatha yoga, stretching yoga, is come into play, and I need to do more of that because that's. The old body's getting a bit stiff. But I reckon within 10 years that in the school curriculum, meditation will be a part of it. Because you've got to have the tools to be able to understand or slow the mind down and get yourself, reload yourself or reset yourself and go, all right, here we go again. And all meditation is is that instead of your conscious mind, like you might be up at 3 o'clock in the morning thinking about what I'm going to do today, and yesterday hasn't fixed up. And once you start, the mind just goes, and then it's out of control. And you start realising that I'm not the mind. I know my mind's going crazy, so I'm not the mind, and I'm not the body, I'm not a foot or an elbow. So understanding that, okay, I can control the mind, and how do I do it? Well, just techniques of yoga and meditation basically just put you back in the picture where you go, okay, I'm concentrating on a technique, it's slowing my conscious mind down, so I've got that under control. And then they say that it's the subconscious mind that's the real killer, because the subconscious mind has recorded everything you've ever done, and all your beliefs, the way you view the world, your likes, your dislikes, your desires, everything is all stored there, and it's continually suggesting to you all the time, to your conscious mind, we like this, we don't do that, we don't like crowds. So you're kind of corralled into a certain way of viewing the world, or the way that I like to do it is, you're wearing a certain set of glasses that it's unique to you, that's how you view the world with all your feelings and things. So it's very hard to change. And the data behind that is that basically you have 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day, and of those thoughts, or 60 to 70,000 thoughts, 90% of them are the same as yesterday. So we're very much the same sort of way. So, your mindset, getting control of those emotions. So if you're used to being an anxious sort of a person and a restless person, it doesn't change easy. So what meditation does, and other exercise does, connecting with people, when you train, catching up for a coffee and talking things out, it just helps you reset everything in your mind, slow yourself back down, and then you get into that right level where I can go again. And connecting's really good, because people that have really serious problems with getting on top of their thoughts and they're a bit down, is it basically like all of us, you become obsessed with your own thoughts, and you're just thinking about yourself all the time. I think this way and I can't get over it, and your world becomes smaller. Well, basically all they do is say, when you start thinking about someone else or connecting with someone else, all of a sudden you forget about yourself. And particularly if you can help someone, your mind starts to get out of your own scenario of continually worrying about your own worries, and you're actually thinking about someone else and helping them out, and it really jolts you out of it. So I reckon all those things in this day and age are really important.
Yeah, I think it's, I got to agree with you, the school, I was going to say leaver, but also just someone at that age generally, especially the social media and that sort of stuff. And, from a business owner's point of view, they're our future employees. I know for us, they're our current employees as well. And it's got to be, let's put importance on what's really important, not necessarily what's on Facebook, like for argument's sake.
I mean, you imagine growing up from the age of, I don't know, maybe kids of these days, 8, 9, 10, they're just doing this all the time, watching TV, doing this all the time. And, it's like trying to stop an ocean, say, hey, you get off the technology, it's really hard. So, they're coming through something that I can't relate with. I never experienced that.
And it really, I read a stat that said millennials, and not judging, but they have never turned their phone off. They didn't know some of them didn't know how to turn their phone off, and have never had their phone more than a metre away from them. Like that's scary. And I think, what does that do for productivity? So, from a business owner's point of view, and we're going through this as a business right now. We're absolutely planning around introducing things like meditation and massage and these sort of things into a working environment.
Mate, don't worry about it work. What about at home? You just try to tell me, I'm like, mate, get off the phone. It's pretty hard yakka.
Yeah.
But again, it's hard to relate. I didn't go through it.
So I get that. All right, mate, we could talk about this all day. I really enjoy these chats, but I know in the interest of time we might start to wrap a few things up. But what's one of the maybe the hardest but best lessons you had on the field or in the team environment, the sport environment, versus also the same scenario in after football?
Okay, that's interesting. I think out of rugby league, I learned how to chase down a goal and have an underlying belief that though the dualistic nature of you start to do a new goal, you want to do something new, create something, the inevitable obstacles that come in the way, is that, normally you think, they'll knock you over or whatever, but I just know now, or going through that scenario, is that if you don't give up and the goal is, it has real value for you and for others around you, and nothing can stop you. You become like an immovable rock that just can't be changed. There's more chance of the sun and the earth swapping positions than you not achieving that goal. And I love seeing it in people when they've got something and they're really passionate about it. They become magnetic. Wow, yeah, good on you, mate. And in fact, I bumped into a guy who I used to know a long time ago. His name's Craig Clark, and he wanted to swim the English Channel. And because of COVID, he couldn't go. But for 3 years, he churned this goal. And I could just see it in him, because when you really churn something, circumstances, place, things, people all start to come in line with your really powerful thoughts, because you've engineered it in your brain, and it goes to it goes to another level, and it comes back and it comes back laden with energy. So I can feel it in him. And so when the English Channel got taken away, he just went boom and replaced it, and done a swim from Catherine Bay to Nobby's, 36 Ks, the same length.
Yeah, just recently.
Yeah, same length as the English Channel. In his dick stickers, like it's freezing cold, it's like 14, 15. And not only that, I mean, there's more sharks out there than you can poke a stick at. They're everywhere. I remember being at Kays Beach last week, because I do a little bit of ocean swimming, only about 750 metres, not 36 Ks. And the guys are going, mate, don't go out there. There's been a couple of white pointers hassling the surfers out all week. So I'm going, mate, you're a lunatic. You're going out way out to sea. A lot of the times just practicing on his own. But I just saw it in him that because he churned that goal so much, his mind was thinking nothing but that. He turned a bad situation into a good one, which is a great trait, created this, and all that momentum and energy, everyone else got behind him. You become a different person, and the mind's so powerful. You just draw the right circumstances, you draw the right people in that can help you get there, and the world looks different. So I learned that out of footy, is that when you're really passionate, the reason's good enough, and you work on it, you churn the ether enough, and then you really work hard, nothing can stop you. And I saw him do it, and I went and watched him at the end, and he pushed himself to great limits. He was crooked the next day and all the rest of it, but mate, nothing was going to stop him. They're the things that, if you want to go, you talk about, high performance, elitism in mental scenarios, or achieving goals in businesses. You got to get to that. You got to get to that level if you really want to do well. If you really want to make a difference. If you want to be the best at what you do, you got to get to that level. And there's great ways. There's an art to it, but nothing can stop you. And if you never give up, mate, I'm telling you, it's 100% on.
Yeah, I didn't, and you just reminded me. The last couple of nights, I've watched that new documentary, Phoenix Rising. If you haven't watched it, get and have a look on Netflix. And all about people that have had adversity in life, Paralympics, and some of the stories were just mind blowing. But same thing, knew what they wanted to do, and yeah, pretty powerful. Okay. Mate, as I said, we could talk all day. I think, one of the things I'll give you, something that you probably won't recognise yourself, and I think business owners can learn from this. Well, anyone can learn from this, but particularly our audience is mainly the business owner, is the amount of time you give to people. I mean, I've been sitting with, and everyone comes up, and I think you treat everyone with respect and give them time. And that's not a common trait from a lot of people. I think some people think about, well, what's in it for me, or what can I get out of it? And that's might be a goal as we're talking there, but it's a pretty big attribute that people can learn from. So, mate, that's just probably nothing needs a comment, just well done, it's recognised. So,
appreciate it, mate.
We couldn't let you go without saying something about where are the Knights at, and for the name of Cash Tunes, what are you thinking?
No, I'm thinking good things. I really like our coach, Adam O'Brien, a lot. I could play under him. Yeah, he's good. He's very good. See, I was really big on, when I was involved with the administration with the Knights, is that, here's a tolerance, here's who we are. That's the Newcastle way. built from the day that we started, and all our attributes and representing the town. We're tough people. We don't like when our team plays and gets out physical, because that's not our go. We're a physical place, and we don't like it when someone comes into our town and wants it more than us, because they're two things that we can control. Sure, we might have a team that's not as talented. They might be spending twice as much in their salary cap, and attracting better players and all that. But if we do those two things, we can live with that. He's taken on. He understands it. That's who we are. So if you resonate with our ways, you come in. We're not going to let anyone in who wants to come in and wreck that. Like Manchester United as a club, do you think they know who they are and they're well identified of the type of characteristics you don't come in there and change them. As a coach doesn't come in and just go, you guys get out of the road, Davey, this is what we do. No. You're handpicked because you fit into us. And when you become like that as a club, again, you become kind of magnetic, because people from all over Australia resonate with what you're doing, and they dig it. So that's how Manchester United and
it's
Liverpool.
really like that's our style of play, and that sets the tone for anything in the club.
It's who we are, and as a supporter, that's why Liverpool and all worldwide support, because people resonate with that. I love that, and that's where the Knights ultimately are starting to get to need to be. Because we're unique, we in the old days when people would come from Sydney, mate, we just wanted to ambush them. We wanted to show them, mate, you ain't coming here and pushing us around. And we didn't win a lot at the start, but they didn't win the next week because they were sore. We bashed them in, we hosed the dressing rooms, we made sure it was uncomfortable, made sure they didn't have hot water, and get that one into you. And that's how we grew. So that's our base. We're physical. We want to intimidate. We'll try and ambush you. But we get to a point where you have all that as a base, but then you need the skill. So we were lucky. We've got the Johns boys coming in, the Gidley boys coming in, and our Davises and all that become good. Well, I see again now where Adam is stripping things back, but with our way, and I really respect that, because other coaches have come in and not done that, and it's like ripping your heart out, And I won't go into name names, but for me, one of the lowest points is when Danny Badiris, who I think is one of the greatest humans I've ever met and one of the greatest players to strap a boot on for here, when he got let go because the coach that was there at the time just had no idea what was going on, and that's what can happen. So you need to have a really strong board, ownership who understands this is who we are, this is our tolerance. People who fit into that, well, you're welcome and away you go. So I see the Knights starting to get that scenario back, and I like it.
Yeah, it's good, mate. I'm sure a lot of people will be happy to hear that. But, mate, a lot to take away, and I don't care whether you're running a team in a sporting field, a team in business, but for this audience, I think there's heaps there. Try to summarise, but having goals and learning how to chase them down, having resilience around that process. It requires hard work. I think, nothing's going to happen, as much as people might believe in fallacies, nothing's going to happen without hard work. There's positive affirmations to keep you going. Teamwork, and really what does that mean? It's doing more for others and noticing what's done there. I think that's a key one. Do you really put in for them? And the key one with that, I think you said, was really understanding each other. If you don't understand each other, you don't really know what's the problem or what's the issue. Everyone's a leader, and leadership, you need to really have a powerful reason. And if you are the owner or leading the team or whatever it may be, if you're set that way, your reason is more powerful than anyone's, and you need to set the tone and turn up properly. And I think one of the key things, and I can learn from this as well, is balance. Balance and taking away some of the distractions and just making sure we look at how we're positioning our lives, because too much of anything's not great. So I'm sure there's more in there, mate, but
that's good.
Really good, some really good information there. And mate, thoroughly enjoy our chats, and thanks for coming on and talking.
Cheers, mate. Thanks very much.
Cheers for another episode, guys. Until next time.